So let's go right now inside this onCreate method, and we're gonna just declare and initialize our array. So what we're gonna be doing is we're just gonna say integer array and then just my numbers. We're gonna have a bunch of numbers, and I would just like to use this curly brackets just to specify the values since it's much faster. And so what we're gonna do is just gonna say 120 and then 220, 320, 420. Just gonna use simple numbers so we can remember the values that we have. 778, 604, and 909. So we have a couple of numbers right here. And so what we're gonna be doing now is we're gonna traverse them. So for the traversal, first thing that we need is a for loop. Usually we use for loops whenever we know exactly the number of steps, and in this case we know how many steps, how many loops we want, and the number of loops is given by the number of elements in this array. And what we're going to be doing is we're just going to say first of all int I is for the iterator, it's just a convention usually, and then I equals 0. We just initialize this iterator to start from 0, and then we have to specify the ending condition. So we're going to say I equals, or just I is lower than my numbers dot length. And in this way you don't have to remember, or just you don't have to count how many you have right here. You just specify my numbers dot length, and that's how it is. You have the length of this array, and notice that it's going from 0 up to n minus 1. So for example, in our case we just have 8 elements, and it's gonna go, as you can see, my numbers dot length is gonna be 8, and so my iterator is just going to have the values, all the values from 0 to 7, including 7, so not 8, because if you access number 8, so if you access my numbers of 8, then your application is going to crash. So we don't want to do this. Make sure that you use lower than and then the length, not lower or equal than the length. So that's just one thing that you want to know before we continue. And after you specify this, notice that we have to use semicolons to separate all these conditions. And then the last thing, just to specify how much is the iterator going to increase after each loop, and we're gonna say it's gonna increase by 1. That's just the default that we're gonna be using. If you want to display all the elements, you're gonna say I equals I plus 1 or just I plus plus. It depends how you want to specify it. You can also say I equals I plus 2 or plus 3. Depends if you just want to skip some elements. And then we're gonna say we're gonna use this toast message, and we're gonna have number on index, and then we can just display the index. So we can just say I and then plus, and then we're just gonna say contains value of, and then you can display the value. So you can just attach my numbers, and then you can say my numbers of I. So that means the value contained in the ith position in my array. And so just gonna use capital letter so it looks more like a sentence. And that's what is gonna be displayed on the screen, and this is going to be looping for as many times as I specified. So if I have, in this case, if I have 8 numbers, it's going from 0 to 7, so that means 8 iterations, and it's gonna loop through all the elements. And we can just run the emulator by going right here where it says run app, and then I'm just gonna run the emulator, and you will see what's displayed on the screen. We're just gonna see these numbers. So number on index 1 or 2 contains those values, as you can see right now, and it goes up to index number 7. So we'll see that it stops when it says 7. It's not gonna go to 8. And that's how it works. If you want to traverse the array, now you can do all kinds of operations. If you want to just inside this for loop, if you want to add a couple of numbers. So let's say you want to increase all of them by 10, you can do it right away. So you can say, for example, you can say my numbers, and then plus equals. That means you increase all the numbers. So my numbers of I, because we want to make sure that we are going through all the elements, and then that means that all the elements are going to be increased by 10, or just let's say by 9,000. And so you will see that the values will change, and then they're going to be displayed on the screen. And now I'm just going to run the emulator, and you will see how this is just working. And as you can see, they have different values right away. And so in order to modify them, you can do all kinds of operations inside the for loop. I just gave you this example. You can do whatever you want. You don't have to update all of them. You can just update one specific value, or a couple of them, or just I divided by 2. It depends how you want. And also one thing to keep in mind is that you can also sort the array. So if you want to sort in ascending order, what you can do is you can say, first of all, you say arrays. So this one from java.util, and then you say .sort. And then what you need to do is just to pass my numbers, and you have it sorted. And so then when you want to display it on the screen, you will see everything is sorted in ascending order. Now this array that we have right now, it's not really it's actually almost sorted, so I'm just gonna make sure that it's not sorted right now. And so as you can see right now, it's not really sorted. And then I'm just gonna run the emulator, and you will see what's displayed on the screen. So let's see right now if the sorting works. So as you can see, it starts from the lowest value and then goes up to the highest values in increasing order. And I'm going to show you right now how it works if you want to have it in decreasing order. So I'm just going to zoom out and just going to leave a comment, sorting in descending order. And what you need to do is just to pass another parameter. You just have to say collections and then dot reverse order. And still there is one more thing that you want to be doing is, as you can see right now, is incorrect type. It is found an integer array, and it is so an int array, and it is required an integer array. So that means that we're just gonna have to make sure that we change this int to integer with capital I, and then it's gonna be working. And that's because int is a primary type, and integer is just an object. It's also used for integers. It has the same functionality. It's just that it has more features implemented, and it works with this collection library. And so when you just want to run the emulator, you will see that the values are displayed in reversed order. So you will see that the first on the first index you will have the biggest number, and so it just goes up to the lowest number in our array. And so that's how it just works.